This is Koedak Consulting and welcome to today's topic, paired t-test. We want to look at paired t-test as it is used in statistics. When do you use paired t-test or dependent t-test as it is called in other fields? Basically, there are two things that most research seek. The purpose of the research is divided into association and difference. Most cases, you want to see if there is association between two or three concepts, or if there's a significant difference between two or three concepts. So, when the purpose of your research is to seek difference, then automatically some statistical tests will drop because they deal with association and some deal with differences. So now, the next issue is, after the purpose, the next issue is the type of data that you have. Is it a quantitative data? That is numbers. Is it a qualitative data? That is categories. So, if your data is quantitative data, then you're still on the right track. That is, your purpose must be to seek difference. 2, your type of data must be quantitative. The third item is the number of samples that you have. If you have more than 2 samples, then paired t-test is dropped. You cannot use paired t-test for more than 2 samples. So if you have 2 samples, correct. That is, your purpose is to seek difference. 2, the data you have is a quantitative data. 3, you have 2 samples. Now, the fourth thing is, how was the data collected? The 2 samples, do they come from 2 different groups, or it was collected before and after? This is the last decision you are going to make to decide whether you are going to use an independent t-test or a paired t-test, also called dependent t-test. Now, let's throw more light on this issue now. An independent t-test is used when you have 2 samples, but they are coming from 2 different groups. For instance, now, let's take real life situations. Cases of COVID in Nigeria were collected on a monthly or daily basis. Now, you are interested in knowing the significant difference if actually January 2021 and February 2021, if there's a significant difference, because in statistics we believe in 2 things: difference by chance and significant difference. So we always seek the significant difference. We don't consider difference by chance. For the fact that maybe 2 numbers differ doesn't mean there's a significant difference. That may be by chance. So you consider the cases in 2021, January 2021, the first maybe 28 days in January and 28 days in February. You want to see if there's a significant difference in the number of cases in a particular state. Then the statistical test that will give you the right decision is the paired t-test, because it handles situation where you have 2 samples, quantitative data, and the data was collected before and after. However, when you now have data from 2 states and you want to see the cases that were collected daily in January in a particular state, state A, and in January 2021 in state B. In that case, you are not going to use paired t-test because the states are now groups. So state 1 represent group 1, state 2 represent group 2. Therefore, you are going to use what is called independent t-test. Independent t-test handles two groups, while paired t-test handles two samples, but the data must be collected before and after. When you now have more than two samples for independent t-test, you can now use ANOVA. ANOVA is an extension of independent t-test when you have more than two samples. You also use what is called repeated measure ANOVA when you have more than two samples collected from the same group but at different intervals. For instance, let's consider real life cases in different fields now. We want to see, maybe your BP is high and then they're giving you drugs. Maybe the doctor recommends drugs for you to take for like 1 month. And you are checking your BP every day and recording the scores, the readings. After the first 7 days, you record the readings. The second week, you also take 7 readings. Now, you can check if there's a significant, you can check the effect of the drug on you to know if the BP is actually dropping by running a paired t-test to see if the readings of the first week and the reading, if there's a significant difference between the readings of the first week and the second week. You can also take another 3rd week and also record the readings for the 7 days. Now you have 3 samples, week 1, week 2, and week 3. You can now use what is called repeated measure ANOVA to see if there's a significant difference in your BP. That is checking the effect of that drug on your BP. If it is dropping, certainly the 3rd week will tell you that yes, the readings of week 1 are more than the readings of week 2, and the readings of week 2 will be more than the readings of week 3. That is if it is dropping. In the development sector, paired t-test is also used. For instance, you want to improve the number of children in school. That is, you want to do away with out of school children. That is the aim of your project. So you go to a community and then you are selecting 5 houses at random and counting the number of children in school. After doing all of that, that is what is called baseline assessment. You now keep your data and start the implementation of the project. After implementing this project, maybe after 6 months, you want to check if, or after 1 year or 2 years as it is planned, you want to check if there is an impact on the community you are implementing the project. You can still go back to this and count the number of children that are in school in that community again. You now have 2 samples. The baseline that you conducted, that is, you counted the number of children in school before you started your project. You have that data, sample 1. And now, after implementing it, you want to check again if there is an impact. You now have another sample. How are the 2 samples collected before and after? So the right choice of statistical test that you will use is called pair t-test or dependent t-test. It actually checks the impact of something on an entity. Like in the first example I gave, you wanted to see if the drug you are taking to drop your BP is actually working on you. You are the entity. Now, in the second example, you want to improve the number of children in a particular community. So, the community is now the entity, and you are using a paired t-test to check if there is actually a significant difference in the number of children in school in that community before and after the implementation of your project. Thank you.